Money, the thing we all need, but few understand.
Money is the core of our evolution. Think about it. Intellectually, geographically, spiritually, mentally, it influenced your religion, your culture, your daily habits. This has all been shaped through history. History shows how a 5,000-year-old concept shaped the world order, yet you and me hardly ever think about it. It fulfills our desires, entangles itself in our relationships, and drives most of our ambitions. At its core, it's humanity's greatest invention, and it's the only way of measuring this one commodity that is truly fixed: time. You get paid by the hour, and time is money. Yet no one understands its most fascinating history. It's not even a linear progression. It's actually a repetitive cycle that changes names and by a slight margin gets better. From Mesopotamia, which is modern-day Egypt, it uses grains as surplus to create the first loan, to Jesus banishing the moneylenders and calling it the root of all evil, to Buddhists giving up the attachment altogether, surrendering to the whole rather than the part. We'll walk through all of these, including the banishment of the church, as well as the introduction of Sharia law many centuries later. Money went on to influence cultures, desires, powers, and even wars. Hitler's failed attempt to drop £100 million over the British, hoping their currency would collapse into hyperinflation, so he could win the war. Or for example, Vladimir Putin's successful attempt at accessing the Russian mint, printing excessive amounts of money, calling it one of humanity's greatest illusions. Although money brought about war, it also brought about peace, globalization, and a universal language. One that actually required no words. All of these historical triggers that got us here were seeded in the very beginning, starting when Earth's population was only 5 million people. Grain was one of the first catalysts of this evolutionary period because of its shelf life, hence dry goods. It was one of the earliest surplus sources that could be grown, harvested, and stored. In essence, the treasury was tied directly to agricultural land. Dry goods like salt, grain, barley, corn, and even shells became effective energy sources and stores of value. Being paid in salt was actually common, which is why we have the word salary today. Grain in particular gave rise to the first systems of credit and loans. Stored in granaries, it could be lent out, giving birth to what we now call interest. These loans were usually recorded on clay tablets, which were transferable between different parties. Think of it as buying bonds today. The interest charged often rested on a mini little village of encyclopedia of a person's credibility. Over time, though, the system became more complex, especially under the Arabs, which we're going to explore later. Meanwhile, hard metals like gold and silver were scarcer, which gave them higher value. Travelers and nomads without ties to land naturally gravitated toward these metals as their settlement currency. This created a self-sufficient system of value exchange. But gold and silver were heavy and cumbersome to transport, in great amounts of inconvenience. After the metal plow changed agricultural farmland and you could feed more from the same amount of land, surplus of grain was through the roof. Gold and silver became the standard means of settlement with the assistance of coinage. It wasn't until the Kingdom of Lydia, in present-day Antalya, Turkey, that the first true coinage system took place, 650 BCE. Different sizes of gold and silver coins were stamped, minted in various weights according to the exact grams of metal they contained. These innovations transformed trade along the Silk Road. Merchants may not have understood one another's spoken language, but they all understood the language of money. Arithmetic was universal. Coinage bridged these worlds, and the global market erupted on the basis of one single shared understanding: money.